A heartfelt story of motherhood. The endless love of a mother's heart. Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a woman named Lily. She was a gentle soul with a heart full of love, though her life had been anything but easy. Lily had lost both of her parents at a young age, and so, from the age of 14, she had learned to take care of herself. She worked long hours in the village bakery, kneading dough with her strong hands and carrying baskets of bread to her neighbors. Despite her hardships, she always wore a smile and helped anyone in need, for she believed that kindness was the most important thing in life. Years went by, and at the age of 30, Lily found herself unexpectedly pregnant. She had never imagined herself as a mother, not because she didn't want to be one, but because life had never seemed to give her a chance to think about such things. She hadn't married, and there hadn't been any man who stayed long enough to build a future with her. Yet, when she found out she was expecting, a warmth grew inside her. It was as if the very idea of bringing a child into the world filled the empty spaces in her heart that she didn't even know were there. At first, the pregnancy was difficult. Lily's body wasn't used to the changes, and she was exhausted from her long hours of work. But as her belly grew rounder, so did her sense of wonder. She started to dream about what her child would look like, what kind of person they would become. She wondered if her child would have her brown eyes, or perhaps the soft curls that she had never had. And most of all, she dreamed of a life for her baby that was full of love, joy, and laughter. The kind of life she had always wished for herself. The day Lily went into labor was a cold, crisp morning in November. The wind howled through the trees as she walked the narrow path to the small clinic at the edge of the village. She was alone, but there was a sense of calm that settled over her as she entered the building. The nurses were kind, their soft voices easing her anxiety. As the pain grew more intense, Lily gripped the edge of the bed and focused on her breath, telling herself that this was the moment she had waited for her entire life. She could feel the little life inside her moving with each contraction, and she whispered softly to her unborn child, "I'm here. I'll always be here." Hours passed, and finally, with a final push, Lily held her baby in her arms. A tiny, wrinkled face looked up at her, its tiny fists clenched in the air. She couldn't believe it. This was real. This was her child. With tears streaming down her face, she kissed the tiny forehead of the newborn and whispered, "I love you. You're my world." As she sat in the sterile room, holding her baby close, she felt a connection unlike any she had ever known. It wasn't just a physical connection. It was a bond of the heart, a promise of devotion that would never be broken. She realized that no matter what challenges life had in store for them, she would face them all with her child by her side. This was her purpose now, to love and protect, to nurture and guide. But the journey of motherhood was not without its struggles. Over the following months, Lily faced sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and the overwhelming weight of responsibility. She learned how to balance caring for her baby while also keeping up with the bakery's orders. There were days when she felt like she couldn't keep going, when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear. But every time she looked into her child's eyes, all the exhaustion faded away. In those eyes, she saw hope, possibility, and an unbreakable connection. As the years passed, Lily's child, whom she named Emma, grew into a curious and bright little girl. Emma loved to explore the village, asking endless questions about everything she saw. She would sit at the bakery with her mother, watching in awe as Lily kneaded dough and shaped it into beautiful loaves of bread. Every day, Lily would teach Emma a new lesson about life, about love, and about strength. But as Emma grew older, so did Lily. There were moments when she felt her energy begin to fade, when her body ached with the weight of years gone by. She could no longer work the long hours she once did. And there were days when even the simple act of bending down to pick up Emma seemed like a monumental task. But Emma never complained. She helped her mother more and more, always offering a hand to hold and a smile to comfort. Then one evening as the sun began to set, Lily felt a sharp pain in her chest. It was sudden and intense, and she knew something was wrong. Emma, now a young woman, rushed to her side, her face filled with panic. "Mom, Mom, what's happening? What do I do? Emma cried, her voice trembling. Lily smiled weakly and held Emma's hand tightly. Don't worry, sweetheart, she whispered. I'm not afraid. I'm just so grateful. Grateful for you. Don't say that. You're going to be okay, Emma insisted, but Lily could see the fear in her daughter's eyes. I'm always going to be with you, Emma, Lily said softly. In your heart, in your memories, in every choice you make. I've spent my whole life loving you, and that love will never go away. And in that moment, as the stars began to twinkle in the sky above, Lily felt a peace settle over her. She had lived a full life, a life of love, sacrifice, and joy. She had given everything she had to her child, and now, as her journey came to a close, she knew that Emma would carry that love forward. For love, true love, never dies. It lives on in the hearts of those who continue to love. Years later, Emma, now a mother herself, stood in the kitchen of her own home, holding her newborn daughter in her arms. As she gazed down at the tiny face, she couldn't help but think of her own mother. The lessons Lily had taught her, the love she had shown her, and the strength that had been passed down from one generation to the next. Emma knew that, like her mother before her, she would give everything for this child. The endless cycle of motherhood would continue, each generation filled with love, devotion, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. And in the quiet of the night, as Emma rocked her daughter to sleep, she whispered the same words her mother had whispered to her all those years ago. I love you. You're my world.